The Energized Show, up the Irish.
Here we go. Okay, what's going on, guys? And welcome to a brand new episode of Energized, brought to you by Or Kings Competitions. Ross,
Are you intoxicated or something?
introduce the guest, man.
Today, we are being joined by the only active Irish female in the UFC. It's the one and only. It's Mama B. It's Shauna Bannon. Shauna, how are you doing?
That was some intro, wasn't it? I'm good. How are you?
It is the truth. It is the truth. Tell us this, Shauna, actually. Do you feel any added pressure being the only female Irish fighter in the UFC? Like, do you feel like you're leading the charge there? Do you feel like there's more pressure on you to perform being the only female in there?
No, I think the pressure is the pressure once you're there. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think it matters that I'm the only female, like, because the lads are there as well and they're on the cards with me most of the time. So, yeah, no, I don't think so. It doesn't add pressure. Being there is obviously pressure, but
Yeah.
pressure's good.
Yeah, and Shauna, just following on that, like, what's it sort of been like since you signed with the UFC? How has your life changed?
Well, obviously it's been a slow start. It's not the start I would have liked. And like my first 5 pro fights were in the space of 12 months. And then in the past year I've only fought twice. Like there was like a year gap between the fight. And obviously I had surgery on my knee and whatever. But it wasn't an ideal start. But then I look back and I'm like, was it maybe the right thing? Because if things had went like 6th gear, would I have been ready? Because I was only pro a year and I was in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? So it was quite fast. So I do think everything happens for a reason. Like I would have looked, like at the time I was like, no, I'm right. Like, and then when that happened to my knee, I was raging and I was like, but look, I do think everything happens for a reason. And even like through my rehab and like getting back in and being away, not being able to grapple for a little period of time and stuff, like a lot of things registered with me. Whereas sometimes when you're like go, 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 go the whole time, you just miss certain things. Like I definitely noticed when I was pregnant, like a lot of the jiu-jitsu clicked with me because I wasn't able to do it, so I was watching it. And then I was like, oh, like sometimes when you're in a class and you're tired and you're after doing 3 classes that day, there's certain things you don't take in. But sometimes when you slow down, a little bit more registers. So I definitely think that definitely happened when I was pregnant, and I think it happened during that injury as well. And I suppose like I kind of felt that getting back into my last fight. But yeah, like there is pressure. It's great. Like I'm so grateful. Like I can go over to the PI and train there and get like all the testing done. And I've been working a lot with the PI, with the sports psychologist and the strength and conditioning coaches since my last fight. I went back over in the September and I got all the testing done. So I've been working remotely. I'm very close with them since then. And I definitely think that that's helped me a lot in my training and just the information that they give, because it's just such high level. Like I think Ireland is always a little bit behind in everything, and it's good to kind of get information from other places and a second opinion sometimes as well.
Yeah, definitely, and like especially when that's open and available to you, getting over there is always a real benefit to get over there. And I suppose, you know, as I say, there's difference in levels in everything, and you know, as you move to that UFC level, you know, what I mean, like you have to make sure everything's on point. It's the millimeters and the minor details that can be the difference maker on the night. And I suppose, like, you know, we were speaking about pressure there. Obviously you won your last fight, and like your debut didn't go the way you wanted to do. Did you feel like getting that win like sort of gets that like duck off your back, and you can just go in and concentrate on, like, you know, showing the best Shauna Bannon that there is come fight night in March?
Yeah, 100%. Like I definitely feel like my first fight was like an outer body experience. I wasn't really present until probably the third round, and then the last one, there was obviously like, shit, you can't lose. Like if you lose, you could get dropped. So there's always pressure, and I think it's how you deal with it. But I do think that going in now, in my next performance, I think like I'm used to it now. I've made that walk twice. I don't think either of them performances showed even nearly what I'm capable of. So I'm excited to get in. Training's been going really good. My spars have been going really good, and I feel like it's all just clicking together now. So if I can transfer that into fight night, I think there'll be a really good performance on the line.
Shauna, can I just ask you, at the end of the second fight, when you won, you took your time, like actually sort of celebrating. Can you explain what happened there?
Yeah, so I was looking at the screen and like I wasn't really listening, and my hand wasn't getting raised. Like he was delayed raising my hand, and then I don't know. I kind of was like, because when they had said that one of the judges gave it to her, I was like, what the fuck? Like, because I knew I won the first and the last. The second one could have went either way. We were in like a bit of a weird position for a while of that round. So I kind of had an idea that she might have taken that round. But when one of the judges said that she got the decision, I was like, what? So that was kind of in me brain. And then I just wasn't really registering what was going on. And I was like, I won!
and what was your reaction after the fight when, like, obviously when you went back to the team and like also like looked at your phone, like what sort of support did you get after the win?
You know, it was unreal, and it was really nice to have my dad there as well. It was a relief, I suppose, because the pressure is loads. But I was happy, but then it was kind of just like it went back to normal afterwards, and I was like, what's next? You know what I mean? I would have loved to fight again that year, but it didn't happen. And then when I went over to the PI, they were like, yeah, your leg is like 40%, one leg is 40% weaker than the other. So I basically fought with half a leg. So I had to do a lot of like specific stuff on that, getting that back to full strength. But yeah, like the support is amazing. I think like the Irish fans are like so loyal, and the love that you get from them, like you really, really feel it. And even in the lead up to that fight, and the support that I had from the Irish fans was like really special. Do you know what I mean? It just it makes it all worthwhile when you have that. Like obviously it's an individual sport and you're doing it for yourself and your family or in your team or whatever, but like it is really nice to have that on top. Like that extra support from the Irish fans. It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yours. I suppose one thing that also could be really beneficial for this fight is that it's in the same arena. So, like, you know, your 3 UFC fights, which is almost bizarre, have all been in this one arena. So you'll be so used to making this walk. I'm sure you'd love if your next fight was maybe not in the O2 and London, that, you know, maybe for a bit further afield. But is that something that you've thought about? Is that something that you're like, right, I know how to make this walk? Like, this is just becoming more normal to me now.
Yeah, so my debut was there, and then my second fight was in Manchester.
Manchester,
sorry, the UK.
Yeah, both England. Like it is, to be honest, like I actually really like fighting close to home because it's less travel. It's like everything, you know, everything. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes when you go to America, it like I know Vegas because I've been there a few times, but like sometimes when you go to a random state, it's like everything's all over the place and like you don't know, and the food is different and everything like that. So I do like fighting in England. It is handy and convenient. Like people are like, oh, do you want to fight here? Do you want to fight there? I don't really care where I'm fighting as long as I'm fighting and I'm active. The arena doesn't make a difference. Like I've been in all over the world with kickboxing and taekwondo, and I couldn't tell you about the countries because like when you go, it's not really like that. You're not going like doing touristy things. You're focusing on your fight, and I think people think you go and it's like a holiday and you're doing all these amazing things. You're training and you're in the hotel room and then you fight and you go home. Like it's not. It doesn't really make a difference to me where it is. It is better when it's in a hot country, I suppose. I was only thinking the other day, I was like, I'm never doing a camp in Ireland again in winter. It's just so fucking depressing. I'm like, oh, give me some sunshine. Like when you're cutting weight and it's just dark, you're like, oh, here, what else? But
what was it? Dublin didn't see sunlight for like 9 days there.
At 3 a.m, you know.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, the lack of sunlight in Dublin has been shocking the last couple of weeks. Tell us this. Obviously, you got the contract to fight Pooja Tomar. Hopefully I didn't butcher her name. But you're someone who watches all the strawweight fights. What's called you'll have it up on your story, but I know you're constantly watching them. There's probably not a strawweight signed to the UFC who you haven't seen fight. What do you make of her, and what did you make of her last performance?
I think she's tough. You can tell that she has that like in her. I think her jiu-jitsu was lacking. I think I've dealt with psychics my whole entire life. Like, so a right leg psychic is something that I've dealt with multiple times with different bodies, different heights, different men, female, everything. So like I think that's what she got really good success with. A lot of her, like when you look at the scores and the thing, a lot of them were body kicks, and that was obviously her psychics. Your one didn't deal with that at all, whereas I will be dealing with that. Like I'm very aware of what to do with that. And I think that was her biggest strength in that fight. She kind of has a lot of overhands. Like come here, she's in the UFC, she's a UFC fighter, she's a strong opponent. But I really think it works in my favor. And I've watched a couple of her fights, not just the UFC fights, and I think it'll be a good night for me. If I go out and perform my best, I think it's going to be a really good night.
Man, B's getting that hand raised.
Yes.
Shauna, one thing that we sort of touched on at the start was like sort of about like being like the leader of the pack of like the Irish women's MMA. But one thing that I've noticed in this camp, and I think it's like one of the coolest things I've seen in Irish MMA in a long time, is when I see you doing your training camp with the likes of Emer Darcy, Amy Scully, I think Nadine Abbott-Bissett, Kai O'Sullivan, and honorary gal Gary Rooney. Like when you see you all in the one training room, and like you're all training together, like how cool is that vibe and how cool is that atmosphere? And like, do you really feel like there's like almost like a unity there between like women's MMA in Ireland when you're all in the one room?
100%. Like all them girls that you've just named, their sound as well. Do you know what I mean? There's no bitchiness. You can go in and have a war, and then you're chatting after. There's no, because I've been like I'm going a long time, and I've trained with bitches over the years. I'm not gonna say, but like you know. But they're also sound as well, which is extra special because they're high level athletes and we're all putting the pace on each other, and then we can have the chats afterwards. So it's really nice. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I've been getting a lot of Kaya is Southpaw, so I've been training a lot with her, Gary Southpaw. The rest of the girls are orthodox, but like we're still getting them competitive rounds in. And I think like training with females is so important, and like it's different. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot of people speaking about it now, like the difference of training with men and female. Like they have so much more testosterone, and it's just different. Do you know what I mean? And it's so much more realistic when you're sparring with girls. Like sometimes a fella might hold back, or else maybe they won't, or like it's so hard, and it's a thin line. And like that's why like I'm super grateful for Gary Rooney, because he's such a good training partner. Like he busted me nose up this morning, but like he's a really good training partner. Like he doesn't get that like red mist. He's safe, but he puts the pace on it as well. He's so good at being able to do that. So yeah, like all the people that you named, I'm super grateful. They're all being an amazing part to me camp, and it's not going to be just this camp. It's going to be like forever, hopefully.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, I suppose people use that phrase like iron sharpens iron, but like it really, really does. And like all those girls are doing outstanding in their own right. Like, you know, Emer Darcy has a Cage Warriors fight coming up. You know, Kai O'Sullivan's over at the IMAFs at the moment. Amy Scully gets 1% better every single day. Yeah, nothing new there. Nothing new there. One today,
sure.
first round armor. You know what I mean? Nadine Abbott-Bissett's making her return to the pro scene at Cage Warriors. You know what I mean? Gary Rooney's fighting and Chuck and all. You know, and coming out, like they all have their own upcoming fights as well. So like it really probably helps that as well in camp, that they're all getting ready for something as well.
Yeah, like that's what we're all in the same mode. Do you know what I mean? And it's like our peaks. Like Gary's fighting the week before me, and then I fight the week after, and then Emer's a few weeks after that again. Kai has been in camp for the IMAFs. Amy has a fight coming up now in 2 or 3 weeks, and so we're all active. Do you know what I mean? So it's really good, and it's not like they're just there to get a bit of training in. They're there because they have a fight coming up, and they're in camp, and they're fight fit, and they're all cutting weight as well. Like so, we're all in the same buzz. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it really does help them as well that like you're in the UFC, so therefore like when they get to that stage, there's already someone who's gone and done it who they know well, so therefore like it's easier for them to get in then.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely do think that that's like facts.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're the like sort of team captain of that sort of team you're now forming?
I don't like the idea of that now. We're all just training together and trying to do our best. I'm not like, because it's an individual sport. I'm like, captain, what do you mean? I've never been a captain in my life.
Mama B giving the motivational talks before sparring.
Well, you're the most experienced.
Oh, don't call me a captain ever again.
Mama B is the captain of this ship.
I'm taking a fire to the Caribbean.
Oh my god.
Shauna.
This is meant to be serious. This is meant to be serious here.
Always serious. Always serious.
Always serious. Too serious. Shauna, the captain. March 22nd, UFC London. Who's going to be in your corner for this one? Because like, obviously the whole country is going to be tuning in again. Everyone's really excited. Caelan Loughran's going to be on the card as well. Last time it was on Virgin Media. It's definitely going to be on UFC Fight Pass.
Yes. And so it's my dad, Gary, and Paddy. That's my corner. Yeah.
The winning combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dream team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And like, how cool is it? I know you said it was like great to have your dad there last time, but like, how cool is it to like bring him on this journey as well? Like to create those memories. Like these are things that you'll remember forever. And like, you know, when those photos are taken in the cage with like the four of you and like you'll be able to show Jason stuff like that. Like, how cool is it to create those memories and then be able to like they're also like going to be clearly documented for like you to show Jason.
Yeah, no, it's so special. And like, I don't know why I didn't really do it before. Like, he was there for my debut, my amateur debut. And then it was like sometimes he'd have competitions and there'd be other stuff going on. I don't even know why he wasn't there the whole time, to be totally honest. Because like that's the voice I've listened to in my corner, like from a young age. So it's so special to have him there. And like, even when you were saying all that, I was like getting goosebumps. It's something that will be there forever. And like, he's so proud and he loves being there. And like, he's talking to everyone, trying to get all the information and the ins and outs of it all. Do you know what I mean? So it's an experience for him as well. And it's like, to have him there in the cage when I won the last time, it was just, I can't even put it into words. It was unreal.
Yeah, like I'm sure it was. Like I can only imagine how much pride that gave you, and then how proud he'd be of you. So that would like, you know what I mean? Like that's absolutely incredible. Tell us this. Obviously, you know you want to be more active this year. You're obviously, we don't look past Pooja at all. But like, how many times would you like to actually get out this year?
Really? 4?
Yeah. 1 a quarter.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. But like, realistically, I'll probably be 3, hopefully. Like if I do March, 1 in the summer, and then 1 before Christmas, that'd be fabulous.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Well, if I could squeeze 4 in, I would love to. I think I work well with momentum. Like I think being active is something like coming out of a camp, have a week, and then go back into camp. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I like. And I think like I've been training so much smarter as well lately. Because like obviously you can't just be going 6th gear the whole time. Your body needs to grow. Like, and I'm very aware of that. And I think it's shown in my training, like how I'm like scheduling my training out and when I need to perform and when things need to happen. Do you know what I mean? So I think like I could definitely do 4 fights. No, I just have to give up chocolate for the year.
Sure. Look, maybe if you get one of those 50k bonuses, it would make it worthwhile.
Yeah, 100%.
Tell us this. What do you make of the strawweight division at the moment? Obviously, Weili Zhang seems to be like head and shoulders above the rest at the moment. Like the way she shut down Tatiana Suarez was unbelievable. Suarez was, I know she was out for a while, but like she looked like a human wrecking ball on her way to the title shot. But what do you make of the division, and do you feel like she is that little bit above the other contenders at the moment, or what way do you see it?
Yeah, I do think there's kind of like a gap there. But I also think she's not getting any younger. And I think like by the time I get to the title shot, if it is still her, I think she could be on her decline and I'd be at my peak. So that's the plan. I'm well aware that I'm nowhere near getting a title shot tomorrow, but I'm working my way up fight by fight, getting the rankings, and I can see myself there, like fighting against whoever it is that's champion at the time. But like, it's a very clear vision, and I know things take time, but like, I feel like with my experience that I have, I've only ever been at the top of the sports, and I'm not finishing until I am at the top. So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
exciting.
you didn't get to the UFC for a participation medal, put it that way.
No.
Not asking you to like necessarily call anyone out, but is there anyone you look at in the division and be like, oh, I'd love to fight her at some stage?
Um, no, not really. Like, I think it's just when you get the text from Mick, you're just like, lovely. Like, whoever. Sign me up. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, yeah. I don't even say it to Paddy, and I just text him back, yep. But yeah, no, there's no one really that, like, I'm not one to be calling people out or whatever, but like, my next fight after this, so it'd be nice to have someone in the top 15 to try and take that spot. You know what I mean? But I'm not the matchmaker. That's not my job. My job's to go out and fight. So whoever Mick puts in front of me, that's all I can do is go and fight them.
Well, as long as you keep on getting those wins and getting those green check box beside your name, you know what I mean. Like that top 15 will come in time, and you know, as will a world title shot. Like, you know what I mean, and especially someone like yourself who, you know, you can speak, you're marketable. You know what I mean? Like I remember when you're making a UFC debut, there were such a push on you doing so much media. You know what I mean? So like they definitely like you. So I think once you get towards that top 15, you'll be undeniable, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Shauna, can I just ask you a question? We touched on earlier about the girls, like the women you're training with. Like, what do you sort of make of the women's MMA in Ireland at the moment, and where do you see it going in the next couple of years?
I think there's a big change in women's MMA in Ireland since I started. Like, there's so much more people doing it. There's so much more people competing. Um, and like, they're not just doing it to have a few amateur fights. They're doing it to go pro. Whereas I feel like let's say like my first two amateur fights or whatever, there was no one really kind of like there that was at an amateur that was like, no, I want to go pro at this. Do you know what I mean? But then over the years, that kind of started developing. It was like the pros were the pros at the time, and there was no one really else. Like, I feel like there was no one there. Like, maybe Nadine, I suppose. But yeah, now it's like people are progressing, and they're wanting to do more with it, which is really good, because I think sometimes people get complacent and they're like, oh, well, my training partner's doing this, so maybe I should just do this, and they don't dream bigger and like look for bigger. Do you know what I mean? Or people are in a certain promotion and there's no progression, and then they see someone else doing it and they're like, oh wait, I can do that too. So I think, like, because more are doing it, then more are doing it. Do you know what I mean? Which is good, because the better they get, the better I get. We all push each other, and it's better for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, with the girl training partners, as I said, like, it's so important. And if that's not there, then the training partners aren't there, because they're not at that level. They're just doing it for the crack more so. Whereas all them girls that I'm training with, they either are pro or want to go pro. So they have that in them, and the push and the want to progress and get better, you know? And I think that makes a big difference with your training partners.
Yeah, definitely. I think even if you look at the events that are being put on in Ireland as well, like I'll probably butcher it, but like I think there was like a She Brawl submission event on up in Derry there last week. Like, I think Valkyrie put on like all female kickboxing events. Like, just in terms of like women's combat sports, I feel like there's more people doing it in Ireland now than ever,
Yeah.
and I feel like the current like crop of talent that we have is as good as ever going to be. I think in 3 or 4 years time there'll be multiple girls in the UFC, and there'll be people in the top 15 competing for titles in their respective weight classes, and like, you can see that coming. Like, you can see the likes of Kyle Sullivan. She's over in Serbia right now. You know, she's more than likely going to medal. Like, she could easily win the whole thing. Like, she is that talented. You know, Amy Scully went and won the world championships in IMAFs. You know what I mean? Like, these are some of the top girls. You know, Emer Darcy, like, what, 1 or 2 wins away from probably winning the Cage Warriors belt. And you know what I mean? And then, like, it seems to be, you win the Cage Warriors belt as a female, you're in the UFC. That's what happened with Kennedy Friedman. Freeman, like, you know what I mean, could easily happen with Emer Darcy. I always think Nadine's a bit of a strange because she's atom weight, so like it's hard to find a home at atom weight. But like she like can't wait to see her back in cage conflict. Like it's a really cool, exciting time for women's MMA and women's combat sports, and I think there's more of a push behind it, and there's more, you know, events and organizers actually backing women, and you know, I mean, with someone like yourself at the helm, it's
when you
massive.
think about like some of the cards, like a few years ago, there'd be like 10 cards and there'd be no females on them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now there's at least one female fight in a card, if not two. Do you know? So that in itself just shows that it's grown and grown, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think like there's people coming from other sports. Like I know in kickboxing it was never really an issue. Females, there was always females there. Like it was kind of equal nearly. So when I switched to MMA, I was like, oh my god, like why is there no girls doing this? Do you know what I mean? But I think it's getting bigger and bigger, and there's people that, let's say, are starting in jiu-jitsu and then transferring to MMA or striking and switching over. So and it's about the gyms as well. I think there's so many gyms that are like sound for women, whereas maybe it wasn't really a thing. Like it wasn't, women didn't feel comfortable coming into certain gyms maybe, and there's more and more gyms popping up and different people running them. And like I know our gym, like it doesn't make a difference what gender you are. Like everyone's just sound to everyone. Do you know what I mean? So I think that kind of makes people stay and want to get better and like pursue a career in it or whatever it is. Sorry, my turtle's gone mad there in the background.
Can't hear it. No, do you know you had a turtle? But like that's interesting in its own right. If you were to speak to a girl tomorrow, Shauna, and she was like, "Oh, I was considering doing MMA," we'll say 14-year-old girl, like what advice would you give to her?
Do jiu-jitsu for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like I obviously had the opposite side. So I started with the striking, and then like I wish I had found jiu-jitsu sooner. That would be gorgeous if I was black belt in jiu-jitsu instead of kickboxing. Well, I don't know. Anyway,
Maybe
but,
just put a grass not being greener on the other side type of thing.
yeah, like I think if like there was someone, I'd say like do a stint in jiu-jitsu, because then like I think if you have jiu-jitsu, it's like I don't know, jiu-jitsu / wrestling. I think that would be like ideally the base I would love to come from. Like I don't know if it's because you always want what you didn't have or whatever, but I think if you like the jiu-jitsu and you have the love for it, and that then it can be transferred to MMA. And find a good gym. Find a good gym. Don't just go in like a gym maybe because it's beside you or because you think it's the best, because other people are like, and like look into it properly before you pick a gym. Because I think it's very hard. Like I hate gym hoppers. Like it triggers me. Because like, and I don't know if it's because like my dad owns a gym and I'm like, but like I think some people, let's say they might lose a fight and then they move gym. It's like, is that really the reason? Like you need to find your gym, and if you want to pursue a career, like obviously career people might be in gyms and things happen and you have to move or whatever. But with the people that like jump from gym to gym to gym to find answers, it's like do your research, look into what you want, and like then select the gym. Like I think picking a gym is a big thing. It's like people, like you hear people say, "Oh, I'm thinking of moving gyms." Like that's a big decision. You're moving gyms. Do you know what I mean? Like that's something you have to put a lot of thought in. So I think like when you're starting off, really look at what it is that you want, and then see what gyms are there, and is that going to actually link in with what you want. I think that's like a really big thing as well.
There you have it, Basmo.
Yes.
There's wise words from Mama V.
Yeah, the face of
And the
women's
turtle.
MMA in Ireland, like, and the turtle. Shauna, we honestly cannot wait to see you back in the octagon, UFC London on March 22nd. Is there anything you want to say to the people tuning in now, and that will be tuning in on March 22nd?
No, just make sure to tune in. It's going to be a great night.
Lovely. Mama V Army will be out in full force.
Yeah, they will.
Shauna, thank you very much for your time, and we'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
Thanks so much, lads. Chat to you soon.
The Energized Show, up the Irish.
So Ross, that was Shauna Bannon.
Shauna Bannon, she is locked in for London. I can't wait to see her get back in there. Obviously she's training very, very hard, and look, that squad of gals she has, she's training with, is something to really look out for, and let's see how they all go, you know.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. It is really cool, and I just feel like in the future people are going to be looking up more to Shauna the way people are looking up to Ash to Bash daily as well.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, so look, Shauna will be back UFC London March 22nd, and we'll keep you updated in the build up to that. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe and tell a friend. Ross, they should tell a friend, no?
Yeah, tell 2 friends if you have them. I just have the one, so like, and he's sitting here, so like that's not going to really help.
If you have any friends, if you don't have any friends, let us know. Maybe you could be our friend.
Right, where are we going with this? Baz, UFC London. Obviously there's been a bit of a change at the top of the card. Leon Edwards was supposed to fight Jack Della Maddalena. Della Maddalena is now going to go fight Bilal for the belt, and Leon's going to fight Sean Brady now. What do you make of this sort of mix-up welterweight, and do you think Jack was the right person to get the title shot, and what you make of Sean Brady as an opponent for Leon in the main event?
Right, so where do you want me to start?
Might as well start with Jack being the main, like getting the
Okay.
call up for the title shot.
Yeah, so Jack Della Maddalena is taking on Bilal Muhammad for the welterweight title at UFC 315 on May 10th. Do you know what? I actually do really like that fight. The thing is, do I think Jack Della Maddalena should have got the title fight? I'm not entirely sure. Looking at
Here's a question for you, right?
yeah,
If Leon and Jack fought and Leon won, and they asked Leon to turn around for 315, like, and then he rematched Bilal, what would you think of that? And also, do you think Leon would have got a chance at getting the immediate rematch at 315 if he wasn't actually headlining the London event in his home country? If it was a different fight night, it was fight night Vegas, do you think Leon would have had a chance of getting the 315 shot?
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I think because it is in London, and Leon is. Well, he's not. Would you say he's the biggest name? No, I don't think so.
No, he's the biggest name on that card.
Yeah,
But by a long
yeah,
shot, like
yeah, on the
there's
card.
yeah. Well,
Bar,
as in like,
Bar Shauna and Kalen.
yeah, but like, I suppose the UK has 3 really large names. It has Leon Edwards, Tom Aspinall, and Paddy Pimblett. Like, they're the 3 ones who are like headlining events in the UK at the moment. They're the 3 biggest stars in the UK, and Paddy's booked for 314, which we'll get into shortly. Tom Aspinall's waiting to fight John Jones, and then there's Leon Edwards there. Now, I'm not saying that you couldn't have someone else headline that card, and people would love to see it. Like, you know what I mean? You could easily put Lerone Murphy in there on a fight night UK and have him headline it, or I'm trying to think of who else is sort of in and around
MVP.
those ranks. Yeah, MVP could easily headline them, and like people would be happy enough with that, you know. So like, not saying that goes against it, but this card was sort of built as a Leon Edwards return, effectively, after he lost the belt. So if it wasn't happening in London and Leon was fighting in Seattle, do I think they could have got an immediate rematch against Bilal? I'd say more likely than not, considering like that would actually be a trilogy fight in some aspects, because well, it would be a trilogy. The first time the fight was no contests, and then obviously Bilal won that rematch. So like, yeah, I think Leon sells more tickets than Jack Della Maddalena. Put it that way. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, then it would have been just weird if it was like Jack Della Maddalena against Sean Brady to headline UFC London. Do you know what? It's more okay. I don't mind the Muhammad Della Maddalena fight. Okay, that's fine. Edwards versus Brady, I'm just like, don't really know what to make of that. Like, Ian Gary's calling out Shavkat Rakhmonov, and like Shavkat's actually going to the army. I think he's going to represent Kazakhstan in the army.
I thought he was injured, but maybe both. But yeah, like I actually think like Ian Gary
versus
Edwards. Like,
that.
Not only is it like a sexier fight, a better stylistic fight, but also it's like got a built-in storyline, and the winner could easily say they're the number 1 contender.
Ian definitely got offered that fight as well.
Boy, did he tell you?
No, but the way he's calling out Shavkat when like Shavkat is obviously not available right now.
Yeah, this is a bit of a bizarre.
Like, he obviously got offered it originally,
and
then this time around as well. What do you think? What do you think Ian's going to do next now?
Hard to really know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you sort of look at the landscape of the division, and you're like, I feel like this is what happened last time, and he somehow managed to get a fight. But like, I think it looks like that Joaquin Buckley fight again is going to be the one that they're sort of looking at. I know they were looking at that before, but like, I feel like that's the only opportunity that is probably available at the moment at welterweight. Like, if you look at it, like Bilal's champion, 1 is Edwards, 2 is Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's injured, 3 is Kamaru Usman. Like, that's a possibility, but like, haven't really heard from or seen Usman training type of thing. Then 4 is Jack Della, who's fighting Bilal. 5 is Brady, who's fighting Edwards. 6 is Joaquin Buckley. So like, the only way you can fight up is he fights Joaquin Buckley. And then like,
Colby Covington, where is he?
8 is Gilbert Burns, who he's made with, and then 9 is Colby Covington, who like won't fight him, and then 10 is Jeff Neal, who's already beaten. So like, I feel like by process of elimination, he's going to end up fighting Joaquin Buckley. Although, like, I wouldn't be against an Usman fight either. Like, but like, when are we going to see Usman again?
The thing is, Usman might be more up for that now because Ian lost. Like, all of a sudden, once you lose, more people are like, you know what? I'll actually fight that guy.
Yeah. Give a knock off him.
Yeah. Well, like, because there has been so many announcements, like with all these changes, which it was so needed as well. I just felt like the UFC was sort of not giving us anything. And now, like, they gave us an abundance of fights. I think these all
would have been better if it was at a press conference, though, wouldn't it? As opposed to Dana White Instagram Live.
100%. But like, getting them is better than not getting them. That's basically yeah, absolutely. Then we can. You touched on Paddy Pimblett, so we may as well discuss that. Paddy Pimblett is now fighting Michael Chandler at UFC 314. That is going to be in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. Ross, what do you make of this fight? And what do you make of Chandler posting the video wearing the Paddy the Baddy wig?
I thought it was funny. Like, I thought like Chandler's a bit of a cringy dude, and I thought it was like a cringy move, but like sort of that's his like humor, if that makes sense. So like, yeah, I'm here for it. I like the fight for both guys. I think it's another step up in competition for Paddy Pimblett. And like, out of sort of all the top 10 lightweights there are, I think like he's probably the best stylistic matchup for him. In terms of like, if you look at some of the others, like maybe him or Dariush, probably the best stylistic matchups. Like Gamrot's obviously very wrestle heavy. Like Max Holloway, massive volume. Poirier is like on the verge of retirement. Justin Gaethje, absolute war central. And then like Saruki and Oliveira, I just think like 1 and 2 is like too far up for Paddy to jump next, if that makes sense. So I think like it's a great stylistic matchup for him. And look, if Paddy gets the job done here, like I would not be surprised to see him call out Conor McGregor.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just seems like
it feels like a Conor McGregor sweepstakes this fight.
Yeah. So Chandler lost his last fight at welterweight.
Chandler lost the last fight against Charles Oliveira.
And that was at what division?
That was lightweight.
Was it? Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. No, because I remember he was training for ages to be welterweight and then potentially middleweight. You'll do as you're told. So like, this is back at lightweight. So,
and he lost the fight before that to Poirier, and then he beat Tony Ferguson in the middle of that.
Yeah. No, it was just I wasn't too sure because obviously there was a lot of things moving around. But this is the winner of this is getting that share. Is getting that microphone after.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be Chandler.
There's a 5-rounder as well, which is I think plays more into Michael Chandler's favor than it does into Paddy Pimblett's favor.
Chandler is just definitely 100% going to call out Conor after that fight with win. With Paddy, you don't know. Paddy, it'd be interesting to see. That's why I really like that fight. That's a fight like I'm actually really looking forward to seeing as well. Another announcement as well, Ross. We should discuss on the same.
I suppose maybe to stay on that 314 card because what you're going to probably say next is that Topuria has vacated the belt and we have the main event. No. All right.
I was going to say the main event now is at 314 is Volkanovski against Lopez. This is for the featherweight world title. As you said, Ilia Topuria has vacated the title. I think the most interesting thing is obviously Topuria has vacated his title. We should talk about that first because you're dying to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I just think him versus Islam Makhachev is probably up there with Jones versus Aspinall as the most excited you can get for a fight this year. I think that the fights don't get much bigger than that at the moment. Like Topuria is 16-0, coming out of knockout wins over Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Like that guy is absolutely shit hot right now. And then like on the other side you have Islam Makhachev, who is just taking people down and submitting them at will. He looks outrageously impressive as well. Like obviously he beat Moicano there. Was it second round? He got Darce choke on him. Like very, very impressive. And he submitted Dustin Poirier, he submitted Charles Oliveira. Like this guy is just smashing people at the moment. And I want to see that. I feel like it's like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. And like I think it's an absolute cracking fight. And I think if anyone's gonna beat Islam Makhachev from 155 pounds down, I think Ilia Topuria has got the best chance.
Do you think there's something going on there? Because like I was listening to a few people talking about it, and they were mentioning that if it was going to be Topuria versus Makhachev for the lightweight title, that would have been the announcement rather than just being like, oh, he vacated. Or because there is talks of Dustin Poirier wants like another legacy retirement fight, that maybe Topuria could fight Dustin Poirier.
Jeez, I don't really like that for Dustin Poirier in the way out. It's like, all right, are you leaving? All right, here's Topuria.
Very Nate Diaz and Chimaev.
Yeah, big time. Look, put it this way. Like I did see someone speak out saying like, did Topuria get a bit too big for his boots and think like, he was the shot caller and like say, look, I want the 55-pound belt, and then UFC were a bit like, as the saying goes, you'll do as you're told, and they're going to make him fight a 55-pound contender. Who knows? Or maybe what they're waiting for is they're waiting for a venue for UFC. We'll say 316 or 317. Obviously, there's going to be International Fight Week. They're doing Jones versus Aspinall. Looks like it's more and more likely going to happen. Maybe they're looking at like one's probably going to be in Vegas, and they're probably looking at the other one maybe like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, maybe Saudi Arabia for a pay-per-view. Who knows? So like maybe their UFC are like giving these fights out to these regions because the way they're bidding on location fees and stuff like that. So maybe there's a bidding war between some of these places to actually get that fight in their location. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I'm sure like Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi and Dubai and all those places are chomping at the bit to get that fight.
Well, I was just thinking, why didn't Chimaev get a shout for the welterweight title?
I think he's like a middleweight now. I don't think he can do welterweight anymore.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, right, top 3 fights. Okay. Well, look, I'd say, who do you think will win with Volkanovski and Lopez? And do you like that fight?
I think they're the best of the rest at 145. But I also think that on that card also we see a debuting Patricio Pitbull. He's obviously Bellator's gone under. He's been released by the PFL and he's signed with the UFC. He's fighting a year Rodriguez. Who's to say that one of those two guys don't get injured? And it could be very interesting if Pitbull's fighting for the featherweight world title in the UFC. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that's unreasonable. Like at the end of the day, they're the next guys up if you really look at it in that world. I'm here for it. And at the end of the day, like we don't really know how much is left in the tank for Volkanovski either, or
Pitbull.
Yeah, or Pitbull. And like Diego Lopez is on a really hot streak at the moment. And then also you sort of have to look at Mosavar Evloev, who has like the longest winning streak in the UFC, who hasn't fought for a title. So like we'll have to see where he fits in. Like, yes, he's absolutely boring as hell, but like if someone keeps on winning forever, you can't deny them forever. So we'll have to see what happens with him. Well,
I'd
yeah,
actually
I like the card. I think the card as a whole is a great card.
yeah, I'd like to see Pitbull against Volkanovski. I just think that'd be cool.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So right, Ross. Right, you're Dana White. Three
I'm looking
fights.
for a fight.
Three fights. Three.
Hold
Okay. Give us three. Give us three of the biggest fights the UFC can make right now.
I might exclude John Jones, Aspinall, and Topuria.
No,
Lewis.
no, you can include that, but no, and you can take Connor out as well.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if I was like, necessarily going to pick him. Well, like without using like the same people over and over again, I feel like Pereira versus Aspinall or Jones is a massive fight. But I also think Pereira versus Dricus is a big fight that people would love to see. I'd definitely be here for a bit of champion versus champion there.
Yeah, but he's matched. He's matched.
Yeah, I know, but like you're asking me, you didn't say I like had to pick what's available or what's not available. You
I
just
know,
told me
okay.
three biggest fights, like so, like
Yeah, but I thought you were gonna go Jones, Aspinall.
yeah.
So Puria, Makachev, and then basically you get one more.
Well, and I
Answer
have
the
to pick
question
them who's not matched or is matched.
He was not matched. He was not matched. Like we're waiting on more announcements. Like what do you think we could get?
Oh, like what's coming down the line next?
Yeah,
I suppose
Mystic Rock.
Dricus versus Shimoyev. Then here's that.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I'm here for that. Like also like I feel like a bit of a sleeper one that could be cool is if Pantoja went up to fight Merab. I think Merab would win, but I feel like things are looking slim pickings at flyweight.
What about Sean O'Malley?
Like Sean O'Malley, I'm not really dying to see him fight Merab again. Like if you want me to pick like a Sean O'Malley fight, I'd rather see him rematch Piotr Jan. To be honest.
Any other honorable mention fights that you want to see?
You want me to just pick random fights? Well, like if Dustin Poirier is going to retire, I wouldn't mind actually seeing him and Max Holloway do it at 155 pounds one last time. I think that's a kill one for him. Like other fights that I think will be pretty cool. Trying to think of like maybe the winner of Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot versus Weili Zhang. Like I think that'd be a cool fight, no?
Yeah.
So like
we're not forgetting anyone, are we?
Well, like it depends on what you're looking for, you know what I mean?
All right, well then give us your top three fighters that you're most excited to see.
I think Pereira, always. Probably Tom Aspinall as well, and probably Hamza Chimaev. Like probably picking out the people who are like I want to see in the big fights. Really, like you know what I mean.
Oh my god. Jeez.
Like no, really, like there are people who are like on the roster who like I'm interested to see how they go per se. Like, but I don't know if they're the ones who I'm like can't wait for that. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like I look forward to watching Michael Morales fight at welterweight. I think he's fighting Gilbert Burns next. I'll be interested to see how Renato Moicano bounces back. Like I'll be interested to see how Max Holloway bounces back. I'll be interested to see how Carlos Prates goes next at welterweight as well. Like there's a few ones there that I'm like, right, they're sort of piquing my interest as like sort of the next up and comers, you know?
Yeah. No, it's just the way when the UFC announced these fights, you're like, oh, and then you think of like more big fights. Because I didn't think of Chandler versus Paddy. Like, I know there's obviously like, and then that'll probably two bigger interactions than Muhammad against Della Maddalena.
Yeah. Well, I think Paddy's the closest thing we've seen in a while to someone like Conor in the fact that like if I run through the lightweight division, like who's a bigger name, Paddy or Arman Sarukian? Probably Paddy. Charles Oliveira, Paddy, maybe Charles Oliveira. Gaethje or Paddy, like maybe Gaethje. Same Poirier Max, but then like Paddy or Dan Hooker, I'd say Paddy. Chandler or Paddy, I'd probably say draw. Gamrot or Paddy, I'd say Paddy. Dariush or Paddy, I'd say Paddy. Moicano or Paddy, like maybe a draw because Moicano's like hot right now. Fiziev or Paddy, Paddy. Jalen Turner or Paddy, Paddy. Grant Dawson or Paddy, Paddy. Benoit Saint Denis or Paddy, Paddy. So like he's definitely like making like he's definitely one of the fighters who's going to get the most eyes. He's going to be the one who like when they're doing the embedded, he's going to be the face of the embedded. He's going to be the one who people have their eyes on. So that's just the facts of Paddy the Baddy. People want to watch him.
Yeah, but it's just like these fight announcements are going to be like are exciting. Like you can tell, it's going to be a very exciting year in the world of mixed martial arts.
So make sure you watch, all you filthy casuals.
Some people at home offended being called casuals. We have to mention that over the weekend, Song Yadong defeated Henry Cejudo by eye poke cross, unfortunately.
By technical decision.
Yeah, by eye poke. Triple C got triple eye poked.
Triple C couldn't see. You know what they say, Basmo? If you can't beat him, blind him.
John Jones, baby. John Jones. The UFC is also on this weekend as well. And then Manuel Cape is fighting Ross.
He is indeed. And I know why you said Ross, because you're looking for me to come in and absolutely butcher this young man's name's Asu Alambiev. That's how I'm going to say it.
Absolutely buzzing for that, Ross. But also before we get into the Irish MMA scene, there is a huge fight going down in Belfast. It's going to be Lewis Crocker against Paddy Donovan in the main event. That's definitely one not to be missed. They've done a few
Irish on Irish crime.
Yeah, it's just looking like a very, very good main event. There's a bit of spice going through both of them as well. And I can't wait to see it. So we're going to be counting that down throughout the week. Then in Irish mixed martial arts over the weekend, Your Fighting Championships 14 was on in the Canal Court Hotel. There was 3 pro main events and 2 title amateur fights. Ross, we should start at the main event. Kieran Brady defeated Georgi Grozov in the second round by way of submission. Ross, what did you make of this fight?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the matchmaking for this main event, like this is some of the best matchmaking you've ever seen. This fight could have easily happened on the Cage Warrior scene, but it didn't. It went down in the Canal Court Hotel in Newry. Shout out to Declan McAlean for this one. Shout out to Kieran Brady for getting the win over this one. Like, we both have really high opinions of both fighters. Whoever was going to win here, their stock was going to massively raise. And I think that's what's happened with Kieran Slim Brady. Win over Georgi Grozov will only see big things for his future. And I think a win like that deserves to get him on the Cage Warriors card in April. I think that was a massive win for him, and by far the biggest win of his career. And you know, he remains undefeated, and he gets another submission on his record. He seems to be absolutely devastating on the deck.
Well said. Like the amount of organizations that would have been looking at that fight as well is actually pretty impressive. Like the way Georgie's been on NFL and Cage Warriors, and Kieran's obviously been on Cage Warriors as well. I feel like that fight is just going to open the door now for Kieran, and it would have opened for Georgie as well. Now, obviously, it's just one step back, and then you can take a couple of steps forward. But I think Kieran just looks.
Yeah, I think when you look back and like when they both had their next 5 fights or whatever, like people aren't going to look back and go, Jesus, can't believe he lost to him. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be like, oh, well, like anyone could lose to Kieran Brady. So I think that's the narrative around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we also had this discussion a few weeks ago, the way Cage Conflict's main event of Sean McCormack against Brian Manning. Like, the organization is going to be looking at that as well. And this is the same situation, the way Brady versus Grozov is going to be with McCormack versus Manning as well. So, I mean, like, Irish MMA is very, very exciting.
And shout out to Cage Conflict for that main event again.
Yeah. Like, that's actually going down next weekend.
March 8th.
March 8th, baby. Then, Ross, in the co-main event, Aaron McDonald defeated Jake Gilpin by way of unanimous decision. Ross,
Yeah,
where
I
would you
think,
like to see? Where would you like to see Aaron McDonald go next?
Yeah, look, I think Aaron, he needed the win. He needed to, get out of a negative record. And look, I don't think it was the most exciting of fights, but he got his hand raised. And look, I'd love to see him back in Octagon if possible. But again, I wouldn't be against him having another fight on the domestic scene as well. I think he just needs to get that consistent matchmaking. I feel like he's fighting on was it like PML? It was like almost like a
Check.
like sister promotion to Octagon, I think. Like I think it was on Octagon TV. But I think he just needs to get back out there soon enough. Maybe somewhere like an LFL could be good for him to get on. But yeah, great to see Aaron McDonald back in the win column, and great to see Jake enter the pro ranks as well. It's not like he won't have some success there himself. So he was a former amateur Euro champion. So look, again, like wish best of luck and best of skill to both lads in the future. It's not easy being, fighting another Irishman on the pro scene. But again, like some good matchmaking from Decky, and let's wish all the lads the best.
You know what? I think Aaron could end up being the main event at the next show.
Yeah, very much potentially.
Yeah, I think.
Well, who knows? Like he fought Mario Di Stefano in the amateurs, and he beat him. So, like, maybe that's something that they look at, a rematch with Mario in the pro scene.
That's not a bad show. Decky there writing it down. He's like, give us another fight, Ross. So we will. Lewis Byrne defeated Alex McCook within 27 seconds. Ross, what did you make of this from the Team Rhino man? Now 2-0.
Yeah, I think Lewis was hot out the gates, and I think he stunned McCook with a right hand quite early on, and I think it was all downhill for McCook from there. Lewis, again, 2 fights, 2 wins in quick succession. I don't think he's seen the minute mark in his pro career, so I think he needs a step up in competition next time out. I think he needs to be fighting someone who is a bit more tenured, in the game. And hard to see. Like would I like to see him in an LFL potentially? So there's a handful of lads. I mean, like, could you match him up against a Corey McLaughlin if you're going like with another domestic matchup there? But again, like, I think maybe I'd like to see him fight maybe over somewhere in the UK. Like, who knows? Like, I think like if there were APFC shows coming back to the UK and they were putting on a pro show, like a pro matchup, that'd be cool. Maybe potentially, like, obviously he's unscathed, so maybe if there's a potential for a Cage Warriors debut in April, like that could be an option. Someone else who like would have been a good matchup is Darragh Toman, but he's actually booked to fight Alex O'Sullivan at Cage Warriors. But like, I think that would have been a good matchup as well. But yeah, I think like, look, Lewis obviously got in now there unscathed, so like hopefully what we see next is a quick turnaround, and hopefully he's not shelved too long.
Yeah, because he made his debut at Clan Wars. And
Yeah.
Second fight, Euro Fighting Championships.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Whatever move he makes next, I'd like to see him sort of like stay there for a bit and keep building his name up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah,
potentially
100%. Like he's like, I suppose he had a long amateur career and there was a lot of decisions, and now he's moved into the pro scene and he's been very quick to get the finishes. And I think in a way, like, that was very similar to Brian Manning, even though Brian Manning, like, he was always considered an exciting finisher. He'll love me saying this, but decision merchant when he was in the amateur scene now, but decision merchant no more. The lamb is out for blood these days. So yeah, like, I think something similar with Lewis Byrne. A lot of finishes are 2 finishes since he's turned pro. Lot of decisions, but again, someone who really earned their stripes in the amateur scene. Like I say, I'd love to see him just be active and continue to build his name on the pro scene.
There you go. That's why it's very exciting. Then there was 2 amateur title fights on the card as well. Jake and Guy won the super bantamweight title. Oh no, the interim bantamweight title.
Yeah,
interim bantamweight title.
Yeah,
and then also they had Kevin Keogh won
the featherweight title.
I think it was a super featherweight title.
Well, okay. Well, he beat James Slavin anyway. That was a rematch from when they fought at Akuma. Obviously, that was a decision when Kyo won Akuma, and this time he won with a third round TKO. So Kevin Kyo is someone who maybe doesn't have that big personality that people are sort of looking for, or you know what I mean, like this like sort of pre-fight hype that people might be looking for. But like when he's actually in there, he's must-see TV. He's a really nice guy. He's a humble guy. As far as I'm aware, he's in the army, so like you know what I mean, like he served his country. He's someone who could be a real role model to young people looking up to him in the sport. And then Jake and Guy is just such a brilliant talent. He's young. He's got excellent jiu-jitsu. His like striking is catching up with his jiu-jitsu. Shout out to Morgan Hines as well, who fought Jake and Guy, because he's very, very young, and he's going to be a big talent for SBG Charlestown in the future. But yeah, Jake and Guy, I wonder how many more fights we'll see on the amateur scene before he goes pro, because I think he must be up at around 16 amateur fights now. So I wonder how long we have left in him. But look, plenty of talent there.
Yeah, his jiu-jitsu is very smooth as well. You can he was just constantly trying to like set something up. Like
yeah,
it was actually very, very exciting to watch that fight as well. Ross, like there was plenty of fights in your fighting championship. Decky always puts on a good show. Like, when would you like to see the event come back next? And I know you mentioned a couple of fights, but what was one fight you'd like to see on that card next? I know you already said one, but give us another.
Well, Jake has fought Jared Ryan before. I'm pretty sure Jared Ryan is the bantamweight champion there. So like, why not have them have a rematch? I don't think they fought on Europe before. They fought on one of the other shows, and have them like unify the bantamweight title. I think that will be a great watch for most people there as well. So I'd be here for that. And then I don't know. I think getting Kev Kyo in there again will be something pretty cool to watch. I'm not 100% sure who will see him fight, but I'd love to watch Kevin Kyo fight again. I think get those two lads on back defending their belts. They are very, very exciting. That's what I'm sort of looking forward to seeing, to be honest.
There you go. Shout out Decky. You can pay Ross for that matchmaking after. Then Ross, we can't wrap up the show without mentioning Team Ireland travelled to the IMAFs in Serbia last week, and there was 4 gold medals picked up. The first winner of a gold medal was SBG Nace's Alex Kyo. Ross, you think Alex has a very high ceiling?
Yeah, this guy is one of the best amateurs in the country by a long stretch. Like, this guy looks like he's a 1%er. I think he's 8-0 now. I think as an amateur, I think he's got 6 first-round finishes. He is an absolute machine. He's given the likes of Conor McCarthy and Max Lally a hard time in the gym. When you hear that, like, you know, I mean, you know, this guy is, you know, a future world champion, and he did that at the juniors. So, like, that's absolutely incredible to see. And I think with SPG's Cork's Fiona O'Rourke also won the gold medal, and I'm pretty sure he's like one of the national wrestling champions as well in Ireland. So like, I think, you know, 2 lads with like excellent grappling backgrounds and going over and being dominant in the IMAFs really goes to show that, you know, you really need to have that grappling on point, and you know, you need to upskill that wrestling to be on the level of, you know, your Ukrainians and that to make sure you're coming home with a gold medal in your back pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Then also Kai O'Sullivan won a gold as well. How many times has she won the gold now? That's at least twice.
Yeah, I think so. I think she might have won juniors. I think this could be her first. Maybe not her first, but like, this was a senior medal anyway. Senior European champion Kai O'Sullivan. She, like, I think in terms of the amateurs in the Irish scene, she's probably the pound for pound best amateur female there is. Shauna Bannon was only singing her praises there when we had her on. So, like, at the end of the day, I think Kai O'Sullivan, I wouldn't be surprised to see her turn pro this year. I think she is at that level, and she is an elite talent, and she comes from a fighting family.
Yeah. Shout out to Mac. And then Ross, last but definitely not least, Team Rhino Sen and Coakley got the gold as well to wrap things up for Team Ireland.
Yeah, he did indeed. He showed some of that wrestling. Not bad for an old Muay Thai fighter from D1. Yeah. So look, he looked sensational the whole way through. His highlights were absolutely fantastic, and he's someone definitely to watch out for. I'd love to see Senin get 3 or 4 amateur fights this year, and then maybe turn pro early 2026.
There you go, Ross. That is everything for the week. What we have to look forward to next weekend is UFC 313. Cage Warriors is back. Cage Conflict, Octagon, and a few more events. But Ross, that wraps up everything for the show. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people tuning in, week out to support Ireland's #1 combat sports show?
Yeah, look, obviously stay in touch with the Instagram, because that's where we sort of filter through all the news for the week. If you want, leave us a comment there, tell us what you think of the show. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. It goes a long way for us, makes us happier every day. So if you could do that, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But other than that, you know what to do. As always, stay energized.
The Energized Show, up the Irish. It's the face that runs the place, Chaos Curtis. I want to thank the Irish MMA community so much for getting behind me. You up the Chaos Cartel.